Hey everybody, another drive time. We're going to be going through the old valley, old 395 through Washoe Valley here with just a nice scenic option, especially when it's windy like today is. But we'll see if I can get some discussion topics out there. One thing that I've been noticing on social media a lot is people talking about civil war with California, and I keep asking myself why. Why would we want to fight over it? Why can't we just let them go and do what they're gonna do? It doesn't make sense why everybody automatically assumes that because California wants to secede that there has to be a war. That goes back to that Lincoln mindset that everybody's been put into, that it's a mandatory default, that if secession or separation is brought up, that civil war is an obvious conclusion. It doesn't work like, it doesn't have to work like that. That's the work of tyrants and control freaks to want to demand a war for secession like that. And just continue to push back on anybody that comments on things like that when you see posts on that California question or any other state for that matter. So that's one thing. The Prepared Minds have been putting out a lot of good videos talking about a lot of preparedness topics. Definitely make sure you go check him out. He's been following on a lot of different scenarios. What would you do if he did this one most recently about communications and communications blackout, not having the ability to get instant news. He said in his video he's been taken back to 1992. Like, that wasn't so bad. Maybe we should all do that. But it goes into having your communication established network with who can communicate with who in a internet down situation. In particular, the power's out and you can't get on the TV or anything like that. How would your communication information flow work? What would you be looking to talk to, or who would you be looking to for information? Who do you know? How far out can you reach? Can you get anything outside of your little community? Can you get news in or out? Some very good topics there, and I think we all could use work on that, because granted, in a grid down, power outage, whatever the situation where communication's limited, whether it's a government mandated shutdown or not, which is a big possibility, where the government actually shuts off communications. A lot of people think that they'll just be isolated and they won't worry about it. Well, there's probably a lot of news out there that you want to get. You want to find out what's going on and what caused it, maybe. The Prepared Mind brought up the situation of if all you're fed is government information, how would you get real information in or out? Because when you're getting that direct feed in of only government news, it make it very hard to discern what the real story is and facts from reality. Like 1984, we've always been at war with Oceania. Oh wait, we've always been at war with Eurasia, or whatever the story they make up the next day, and everybody just goes along with it because that's the only thing they have to go off of. So definitely something to think about there, about having what kind of network you have set up. And ham radio is obviously the best method that you currently have available to you, and the easiest method to be self-sufficient on. The thing is, you really got to be careful. Well, who's on the other end and why are they saying what they're saying? Unless you have established, solid comm already with somebody who you know, and that's who you're going to talk to, that's one thing. But if you just get on the net after the grid goes down and you start listening to people, well, there's going to be government propaganda there too, countering that, and putting out whatever they want to. You're going to be listening in the blind to a large extent. So establishing who your point of contacts are in different places now and knowing who they are is going to be very beneficial. Now, granted, you can set up other ways to have code words and keywords to key into whether or not they're putting out true information and that they're not being coerced. That's another scenario, but just throwing that out there too. What the Prepared Mind was talking about. Another video he did recently that the Prepared Mind did was about another good video that the Prepared Mind brought up last week or two was about noise. About noise being a giveaway, and most people can't truly appreciate what a grid down, no noise environment is like. Very, very few have ever been in that situation of where you're in a populated area but there's no noise, like as far as artificial mechanical noise. He talks about voice traveling and other things that you can hear when it's basically a grid down, lights, even light pollution, I guess you'd say, or a no light situation where all the light is either fire or flame or some other generation other than electricity. How that would work, and people really need to get in tune with how far and how distant those things can be seen and reveal your position, reveal your numbers, reveal what you're doing. Here in Nevada, obviously today is really windy, so that noise is constant in a large respect to a lot of days here, so we deal with that a lot, which can kind of mask a lot of noise. But in some places we go, if you stopped all vehicle traffic and all mechanical sounds and you just started talking, you'd be surprised how far that would travel, especially down channelized highway, road networks in big cities, channelized alleyways. If you were to be talking and everything else was to be quiet, that voice is going to travel a very long way, more than what you're usually used to. And it's very hard to test this for people that live in an urban environment, because it's never that way unless you've been through a hurricane or another situation where things are just absolutely out of power. Like that northeastern grid down back in the 2000s, or the 2002 or something. Those situations, people might have got some experience with that. But unless going into places like Iraq, people run into that in the military. You're in these huge cities and it's just quiet at night. Maybe a generator's running somewhere off in the distance. But total blackout, quiet. You can hear voices carried down alleyways, long distances. And these are cities that, while they're built up with buildings, they don't necessarily have the asphalt and the concrete walkways and roadways that would reflect a lot of that and carry that voice even further in an American city. So something to very key in on. And the same with light in those locations. And people that do a lot of hunting and stuff, you go off the grid and you can kind of get a gauge for how far sound travels with animal noises and human voices and footsteps. And out in the hinterlands is one thing, but the bulk of people, where the bulk of most people are in the cities, is where people are going to be really surprised in a SHTF, like the Prepared Mind talks about, of how easily they can be compromised by some of that noise in a grid down scenario. So something to think about if you're in one of those locations, you're going to be traveling through them, or maybe just happen to get stuck in one. Think about it now. If you're trying to egress out or get through, like, those things are going to be a bigger play than you might expect, or at least don't be surprised by it. Be prepared, like he says. Prepared mind, right? So there's some things to think about, and those are excellent videos he's been putting out. I just add a couple of 2 cents in there to what he's saying and reiterate it and echo it, because definitely good things to think about. That, I mean, it doesn't take, these are things, these are preparation things that you don't have to buy or necessarily go out and do, but you need to think through it. And if you get the chance to experience it, hey, you're ready, you're prepared to a certain extent, so it doesn't surprise you and catch you off guard. You can immediately take precautions to, think, hey, I know that noise is going to be a problem when the power goes out. Okay, what I do to, okay, everybody keep their voices down, just bring everybody into the mode of thinking immediately, not waiting for something bad to happen before you think, oh, well, we were too loud. Immediately put that out to your group or within your small circle family. Okay, hey, noise is going to carry really far right now. Keep it down with whatever work we're doing. Only do certain work during the daytime. When it's windy, maybe you're not as concerned knowing when the time of day it's going to carry more, like in the morning or in the evening when it's really maybe the wind dies down in your area at those certain period of time, or whatever the case may be for your situation. But keying into those things to make you more prepared, resilient, and able to mitigate any hazardous, dangerous effects from your light or noise discipline, as we would call it, for lack of a better word. So just a couple of things as we go through the scenic Washoe Valley on the scenic route here. We're going to come up here on the burn scar from this summer, where they had that fire that burned down some large, you can see there's some large homes and multi-million-dollar homes out here and stuff, some high-end property. It came down off from the right and came down across the road down here in a little bit. One of the big concerns coming into this spring is mud flow, and if we get a large storm, flash flooding and stuff coming off that, causing bigger problems. But yeah, if you ever get out this way, this is a good way to go around Washoe Valley. Take the slow route and take your time. See the sights. We just passed Bowers Mansion and whatnot. But definitely some nice ranches out here. So just some thoughts for the day as we take the scenic route and drive around. Hope everybody's doing good. Stay in contact. And as always, be prepared.